Hello and welcome to volume 5 of my quick squash tips. This is June 2019. Now for this I will be doing rallysis, which is analysis of a rally, and the match that I'll be using is the 2014 Swedish Open final between Ramy Ashour and Nick Matthew, and I would like to thank Karl-Erik from BBGBITW's YouTube channel for giving me permission to do that. The link to their channel is in the text description. So this video contains 12 clips plus a bonus clip, which I'll talk about in a second. The 12 clips are ideas and things for you to think about for your game. They use the match from professionals, but they can be applied to club players' games. Now the bonus one is really a talking point. I noticed when I first started making this video that Ramy Ashour actually foot faults on the very first point, and then there was a question in the squash subreddit about it, and I decided I'll just add this. So it's more of a talking point than a coaching point. So that's it. Let's get started. For June's thrice weekly Instagram video and the monthly squash tips video, I'm going to be using clips from the 2014 Swedish Open between Nick Matthew and Ramy Ashour. Full details about the video and the channel I got it from can be found in the text description. Let's look at the height of the front wall that each player hits when hitting straight drives to the back. I feel it's indicative of the overall tactical plan each player has. You will notice that Ramy hits much lower on the front wall than Nick. I believe this is partly due to Ramy's swing and also due to his desire to rush Nick, whereas Nick hits very near the cut line and is more interested in getting Ramy off the tee, which is where he is so very dangerous. Hitting higher exposes you to volleys, but also means your shots reach the back corners. Hitting lower on the front wall forces your opponent to stretch down, but also gives you less time. Watch this rally, specifically how it ends. We've all been guilty of it, stopping or reducing intensity because we think the ball is out or the rally has been won. It's incredibly hard not to. If you watch enough squash, you will have seen it. At beginner, improver, club, tournament, regional, national, and yes, even here at the highest levels of the professional game. In some cases, it's because the opponent never gave up. In this case, it's because Nick honestly and completely believed the ball to be out. Almost ironically, due to a great lob he had just played. Since it was the beginning of the match, I'm sure it had no effect on the outcome. But if this had been match ball against Nick, then it could have been disastrous. I'm sure you would say that if it had been match ball, Nick would have played it differently, and I agree, but the point still stands. Do not relax or stop until the marker calls end of play. This is a scrappy rally. It's full of shots both players would probably rather forget. Nick's final two shots, both backhands, are what we're interested in though. The first one is beautifully played because it is both the right length and in the right place. It forces Ramy to move the greatest distance possible and then creates the chance for the winner. Watch again as Nick allows Ramy to get in front of him, so he has to go around him. The winner is just as impressive, not just due to the deception, although I think Ramy had already decided to expect a crosscourt, but because it is perfectly weighted. A great example of second bounce in the nick. There is no chance of taking this off the back wall. It was two backhands that won this rally, not one. Getting to the tee as quickly as possible is so important. Watch the first 15 serves of this match. Notice that both players serve backhand from the right hand side. They do this for two reasons. One, so that they can watch their opponent, and two, because they can walk forward and beyond the tee before their opponent hits the return with very little effort. If you can't serve backhand, start practicing now. It will actually ensure you have a good backhand swing technique. If you are left-handed, you would serve backhand from the left side. The angle the ball comes off the front wall and side wall is different if you serve backhand or forehand, and in general, backhand serves stay closer to the sidewall for longer, making it harder for club players to make a good return. In this video, I'll be focusing on the split step. This is the small jump a player makes just before they believe their opponent is about to hit the ball. I've tried to isolate the view to allow you to clearly see it happen. The jump, which should be made with the player's feet slightly wider than the player's shoulders, allows the player to react in the fastest possible way. It uses the bounce, technically called plyometrics, to increase the speed of your movement and reduce your reaction time. This is why skipping is so good for your squash. If you've never done the split step before, it can take a little practice to get the timing right, but it will improve your movement. It's also why delaying your shot as you are about to hit it can be so effective, because it can force your opponent to jump too early and lose the benefit of split stepping. Start split stepping today and you will see your footwork and movement improve. There's so much you can learn from watching professional squash matches. And yes, this is exactly the same footage as Monday's video. But there are things club players shouldn't simply copy, and I believe one of them is the serve. The better you get, the more conservative your serve becomes. At pro level, you serve to limit your opponent's return and literally start the rally. At club level, you should be serving to win the point. Club players' serves vary so much more than professionals. That's because club players stand to receive serve in a variety of different places and in a variety of different positions. The kinds of serves that are effective against club players would be risky against pros. If you're a club player, use your serve to try to win the point on the serve, or at least on your second shot. Practice a variety of serves and your returns. Against better players, do what the pros do. Keep it simple and avoid giving your opponent an easy winner. This is the end of a particularly interesting rally. Nick plays 2 defensive high drops and a defensive reverse angle. A defensive high drop is a shot that is a last resort. It allows you time to recover position, but obviously gives your opponent almost a free shot. Remember though, I did say they were a last resort. It's not as easy as you think to hit a winner from them, and as you can see, even a master like Ramy didn't do it. It actually gives your opponent too much time. They overthink shots and often try to play outrageous winners when all you need to do is keep the opponent under pressure. Let me say a third time, they are a last resort. Get your racket under the ball and push upwards. Aim for just under the cut line, and if able, keep it tight. Move back towards the tee, but not all the way. Edge a little closer to the sidewall where the ball is, but cover the crosscourt. Remember, it's a last resort. I believe the block volley is an underused shot in club squash. Too many players feel they have to hit a volley hard or go for a winning nick. Watch in slow motion as Nick simply keeps his wrist firm and uses a very short swing to block the ball and rush his opponent. If you had played something like this, it might be a winner, but of course, this was against Ramy. Use your opponent's ball speed to rush them, without trying to add more speed to the ball. Nick kept it tight and was expecting Ramy to get it, and that's very important. When you play these types of shots, have the attitude that they are working volleys, not winners. It's mentally tiring for the opponent to be forced into making mistakes or being rushed. Do not try to play this shot on every volley, but practice it to have it in your armoury. I want to introduce you to a very wide crosscourt you can play when you are at the front of the court and your opponent is hunting for a volley. Watch how Ramy hits that type of shot. Look at where the ball hits the sidewall, very near to the short line. This shot often hits the sidewall above shoulder height. It's a defensive and an attacking shot. Let's look in slow motion. Ramy hits a flicked crosscourt. By the time Nick can hit it, it is close to the sidewall, forcing him to hit a working drop. It's not a winner, but close enough to the sidewall to pressure Ramy. Ramy knows that Nick was quite far forward and will be looking to volley the next shot if possible. If Rami had hit a straight drive, it would have been a little risky because if Nick anticipates it, it could be a stroke. Therefore, Rami chose to hit the wide cross court that makes it very difficult for Nick to volley. It's a perfect shot when you're under pressure at the front and your opponent is in front of the tee. I'm sure when you perform solo practice, you spend a significant amount of time hitting the ball straight and as tight as possible. That's not wrong, but I would like you to spend some time hitting shots into the corner from the width of the service box. Watch as Nick makes contact with the ball almost exactly the service box width away from the wall. Look at where it goes, very near the corner. Now let's look at one from a few rallies before as Rami makes contact in almost exactly the same place and forces Nick to make contact with the ball as it is against the sidewall. This ability to hit the ball when it is a service box width away from the wall and angle it perfectly towards the corner is, for me, one of the defining abilities of higher players. Many, if not most club players, can't do this consistently and especially under pressure. Practice it. Hit a few tight drives and then hit it wide and try to angle the ball so that it goes into the corner. A few tight drives and another wide one. I love these sorts of rallies. It's the quintessence of squash and this level of squash. Staying against one wall, usually the backhand side, using the side walls as a weapon and having the threat of a cross court keeping the players near the tee, although admittedly slightly left in this case. There's a psychological war going on in this match and it is epitomised in this rally. Each player is basically saying, I can hit tighter and better than you, and the other player is saying, prove it. The ending is a shame, but sometimes that happens in squash. Watch once more and focus on one player, doesn't matter which one. Follow them and look how they are constantly trying to get in front of the other. Then watch for a third time and see how the other player is doing exactly the same thing.
Yes, sir.
This is not a coaching video. I'm quite pedantic regarding the rules of squash, but I'm not a qualified referee. I understand that there will always be some subjectivity when applying the rules, but one area that frustrates me is the foot fault rule. It's an incredibly difficult rule to enforce. The rule specifically states, at the time that the server strikes the ball, one foot is in contact with the floor inside the service box with no part of that foot touching any boundary of that box. Nearly all the serves you have just seen were foot faults. How much difference does it make if a foot is touching the line when serving? Not much, you may say, but would you apply the same rule to the ball and the outline? Oh, it was only just touching the line. I'm not saying the ref should have called foot fault on these serves, I'm just highlighting the point. Perhaps new technology could be used, or maybe you have another solution. What are your thoughts on this? I've got 2 points to make in this superb rally. The first is how Rami volleys a difficult shot beautifully down the wall. This is another ability that I use to define higher level players. The timing of the straight shot has to be perfect because otherwise you may hit a weak return and be at your opponent's mercy. I actually believe it to be one of the most difficult shots to play. More on that another day. The second is how Nick goes in front of Rami, even though it might have been a little easier to go behind him to reach the ball at the front. It gave him options he wouldn't have had. Going behind him would have made it hard to hit straight and harder to play a drop. Again, more on that another day. How you move to the ball is important, but how you move around your opponent is just as important. When judging players, look at their shot selection, movement and timing. Those things will tell you more than how hard a player can hit the ball or how fast they can move. If you think the content of my videos is useful, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on notifications. This is a playlist of the technical aspects of squash which probably interest you if you've watched this video. This is a video that YouTube thinks is a really good fit for you. Thanks for watching, and remember, do something every single day to improve your squash. See ya!